joined by Christina Nairn. Christina, having gone through the provisional instructor and provisional assessor program with the CMMC, we were hoping to ask you some questions today related to what's about to come down the pike soon. Can you just describe for us what CMMC is all about?
Sure, thanks for asking. CMMC is the U.S. Department of Defense has realized that there's a huge risk involved with their cybersecurity supply chain. The people who make the products, the people who make the platforms, the services that support the U.S. Department of Defense. That supply chain is every bit as crucial to their defense as their own defense policies are. So they're trying to make sure that their supply chain as well, the defense industrial base, the DIB is what they call it, is certified basically to a minimum level of assurance to provide us a guarantee, some degree of assurance at least, that they are meeting the requirements, the standards to safeguard our information, which defends all of us in the United States.
I've heard a couple of terms being thrown around. One is federal contract information, and the other is controlled unclassified information. What role do they play in this?
That's the thing that we are needing to defend for the defense industrial base. Federal contract information is information that's provided by or generated for the U.S. federal government Department of Defense under contract, but it's not intended for public release. It's not necessarily classified per se, but it's also not intended to be disseminated. So for example, information published as part of the bidding process, which is already publicly available, information on the DoD websites publicly available, is not FCI. But anything else, either in alone or in its aggregate, may constitute sensitive information and hence should be defended. It's the minimum level of security, basic cybersecurity hygiene that we would expect for any contractee for the U.S. Department of Defense to safeguard that information. Controlled unclassified information takes it a few steps further. This is information, while it doesn't go through the U.S. Department of Defense classification system, top secret, secret, confidential, it doesn't go through that classification scheme. Controlled unclassified information is information that requires safeguarding or dissemination controls pursuant to policies, consistent with laws, regulations, excluding other information that's already classified under the Executive Order 13526, the Classified National Security Information, or the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, excluding stuff that's already classified, things that aren't classified but have either legal or policy ramifications, either specifically specified how they must safeguard it, or just stated that it must be safeguarded. We're trying to provide a framework by which they can provide assurance that they're meeting that appropriate level of security. It goes beyond just federal contract information, where basic cyber hygiene, just basic integral properties of we handle security appropriately. It doesn't even have to be documented with level 1, the 5 levels. We'll get to that in a second, the 5 levels of CMMC maturity. We are asking that any entity, any federal contractor that handles CUI specifically, or even FCI, not so specifically, that must be certified either to level 3 for any entity that handles CUI, or level 1 for entities that handle FCI.
Thank you. Can you tell us who has to care about CMMC?
Well, if you want a DoD contract, you have to care. The only exception to that is some entity that provides commercial off-the-shelf product for any entity, be it DoD or anybody else. If you want to keep and maintain your contract by 2025, you must be certified. And even before then, you potentially will be affected. So that's a lot of entities. And it's not just entities who have a direct prime contract with the U.S. Department of Defense. It's entities that have supporting contracts for a prime contract for the U.S. Department of Defense. As long as they handle any degree of FCI or CUI, they must be certified. And it's up to the United States Department of Defense right now. It's up to them to determine which contracts must currently be certified as of right now, today. So if you have that certification and you're dealing, and there's potentially a contract that you can meet and nobody else can, this is a huge competitive advantage for you to get certified right now.
So I know that there are families of security standards that must be met. Can you tell us what they may be?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So what you're being certified on is trying to be fairly broad. It's everything from like access control to configurations to risk assessments to media protection. It's how you handle your accountability, your awareness and training. I want to name, there are 17 standards, families of standards for the CMMC domains. There are 17 domains, of which there are any number of requirements in. There's a specific number of requirements in each domain, and all of them must be met at the level you're hoping to get certified to. All of them, 100% if you want to meet that certification. They are, real quick, access control, asset management, audit and accountability, awareness and training, configuration management, identification and authentication, incident response, maintenance, media protection, personnel security, physical protection, recovery. Recovery is like if you got hit, how do we bring our systems back to a known good state? If something bad happened, that type of recovery, as in disaster recovery. Risk management, security assessments, situational awareness is also part of this. System and communication protection, system and information integrity. And as would be expected, of course, system and information integrity and system communication protection is absolutely huge. There are a specific number of requirements, and like I said before, all of them must be met to the level that you're receiving certification on, or you will not obtain that certification. It's not stuff that is necessarily designed to be hard or impossible. It's not out, they're not out to get you. They're out to provide a level of assurance that you're handling their information correctly in one way or another. None of the requirements tell you specifically, this is the vendor you must choose. This is the protocols that you must speak. It's up to you to decide how you want to meet it. The requirements are what is listed, and the requirements are what you're going to be assessed against.
Thank you, Christina. As Learning Tree is a licensed training provider in the CMMC AB ecosystem, and we're hoping to get started training the organizations seeking certification very soon. Thank you so much for participating today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.